Welcome to Home's Room. Just like Homeroom, we start off our day getting together with our homies, swapping stories, even a little kiss and tell action. This podcast contains language not suitable for younger listeners, topics about sex and mental health. Discretion is advised. Our views are our own. Let class begin.
Hello, welcome back to Home's Room podcast. We're talking about AI today. That was my AI robot voice, if you couldn't tell.
You sounded so robotic. I was about to give you a compliment. Like, damn, Matt, so robotic.
I was trying. We're going to talk about AI, and Kaitlin has brought this up quite a few times, and every time she brought it up, I cringed because to me, AI only thing that I can relate to AI in my brain is Terminator jokes, because Skynet will be a thing, and we will create Skynet, and Skynet will kill us all. But besides that, I can't really relate to it because I wouldn't necessarily use it to write. We use AI in Riverside, our recording studio stuff, to do the show notes, and it generates clips and stuff, but usually I still have to fix that stuff, so AI just isn't a thing for me. But Kaitlin, you use AI and ask it questions and such. My sister is a AI backstop, I guess, where she reviews things that it comes up with to make sure that it's still doing the thing that it's supposed to do. So I'm surrounded by people that use AI, but me as a person have no use for it. So I finally found a way to use it, and we'll get into that. But Kaitlin, how are you?
I'm doing okay. We are surviving, not thriving. But yeah, I'm just here finally excited to talk about AI because, Matt, you better believe I am overly nice to Chat GPT in case it becomes our overlord someday.
Fair.
I'm extra cognizant of being nice to Chat GPT and my grammar, my spelling. I'm like, hi, Chat GPT. I hope you're having a good day. And it always tells me I'm not capable of having thoughts or feelings or emotions like a person. But here's the answer to your question. So
I just had some technical difficulties, so hopefully this stays recording and doing what it's supposed to do. I don't know what's going on, so we'll see.
All good on my end.
But I like I said, I never had really a use for it. So whenever you talk about it, I'm always super interested, and I think it's so okay, if you say so. But I will say that I used ChatGPT's image creator because I wrote a book and I've been searching for an artist, and I still can't find artists, and I've tried all the different avenues, and nothing has struck me as this is where I want to set up shop to get this done. And one of the things that I did was Fiverr, which I've been referred to, and all of my presets to try and get an artist, it almost seemed as though none of those were followed when people started responding to me, and I thought that was weird. So I'm kind of turned off to this platform because I don't know how these people are seeing these things. So either they're not truthful in their account, or they're not truthful in general, and I don't know that I want to use that. And again, trying to find somebody in person, every person I've asked has been yeah, do it, send me your stuff, let me know what you need, and then they don't get back to me. And I don't want to reach out to friends and be hey, you still never got back to me, and sour a friendship over a business transaction. So to me, it's well, I'll keep searching until somebody wants to do this. So here we remain, zombie apocalypse series. It is more than that. It's not just your standard zombies eating people for the sake of eating people. At its core, it's more a story about family and how to get through and finding oneself inside of the chaos that is a zombie apocalypse. All of these normal problems that you might deal with in a regular situation, and they would be daunting, you're now thrust into a world that the dead will try and eat you occasionally, but they're not the focus. So in this particular one, our main character has more time, so the art had to be a little bit more refined. And overall, if you look at the art that was created from the first book to the second book, the art got better. And that wasn't just because I switched artists. That was by design. That was what I wanted. In the first book, there was a lot of quick sketches because he's on the run. He doesn't have time to sit down and put effort into his art. In the second book, he's got a little bit more time, but they're still trying to establish a life. He's still grieving, still trying to piece together the world that he lives in, as well as, feelings and, whatnot that he's got to sift through. So his art's a little bit more time consuming because he's distracting himself. So it's not necessarily the best quality art he could put out, but it definitely is better than what the first one was. And in this one, I needed a few really good pictures, not because the art gets so much better, but because he spends more time on these handful of pictures because they mean the most to him. So with that said, are you ready to talk about some of these?
100%.
All right. So the first image that I asked it to do is of the character Angel. And if you read the books, Angel is our badass woman sniper who is guarded because of the way she grew up, but also kind of guarded because she's just one of the strong people that has been made to hold their problems in and to protect others by doing so. And I asked, because in my head she kind of has a Natalie Dormer look, so I asked a pencil drawing of Natalie Dormer. Honestly, the image was kind of wonky at first, and I didn't like the face. I didn't quite understand. I wasn't sure like how to ask the question to get like the best result, because that was the first one I asked for. And with that, I kind of realized, okay, let me like refine this ask a little bit better, and maybe I'll get a better result. And I chose to, I guess, not reword it, but word it in a more specific what I was looking for, as opposed to just like seeing what it would give me. So I asked the next time for a pencil drawing of Natalie Dormer with short hair, drinking tea. This is the specific image that I needed, because that was what was going to be the image stuck in our main character Mark's brain, is an image of him drinking tea one morning, and that was what I needed. So when that image came out, and this is the one I sent you that you can look at, and that you'll see on this recording, what I got was not a bad image. I was actually happy with it, but then I started to look at it a little bit further, and when you look at it well, the worst part is the right hand has only 4 fingers. The hand
Thank
is
you so much for saying that.
wonky, and I was super disappointed. But it's outside of that, it's a good image, and it's like maybe not. So because of the finger thing, I'm not sure if this is usable, because I just don't know whether I would be able to let that go, or if I were to like erase part of her hand so it looks like that part's maybe not finished, I could use it. But again, that's something I would have to do on the back end to make this image usable, and I don't necessarily know how I feel.
So Matt, here's the other thing with the power of ChatGPT. If it gives you a result that you're not happy with, you could potentially resubmit this photo and ask it to do a better job at the hand. But stereotypically, that is one thing, that's one characteristic of humans that AI struggles to be able to, replicate efficiently, are hands. That's one of the biggest indicators, or the biggest like tells that a photo is AI generated, is if you look at the hands closely, it's not the best. But honestly, I'm glad that you said that, because I looked at it and I was like, what a pretty face. But that hand is just like, what am I looking at here with this?
Yeah, and I did resubmit it, and it just kept getting worse, and the image wasn't ever better. So that's why I just stopped there, because this is the image. And I did with some of these other ones, I went into detail about that, but because there's so many things, I wanted to kind of like power through these so that we don't end up like not getting to all of them. But that is the thing that like I know you could do, and you can refresh it, and you can ask it in a different way, or you can ask for a better result. But ultimately, it would change other things that would then make it not the thing I needed. And I think that that's the part that's super weird about AI in general, is the feedback you give it. And we'll get to this point at the end, but like the feedback you give it is only taken so far.
Yes.
So with the next image, I went on to a different character because I needed to step away from this like wonky hand thing that it wasn't giving me the exact thing I needed, or it was giving me like a goofy looking face, and it was getting further and further away from the vision I had in my mind. So I went on to develop or to do a new character, and I'm not going to talk about this character's name or anything like that, just simply because this book isn't out yet, and we meet a new person. So we're meeting a new person, but the character description, she's a teenage badass making it in the zombie apocalypse kind of on her own, but not 100% on her own. She's super guarded as well, but she's guarded in that teenage, you're an old person, and by old I mean like 40 something, and I'm a teenager, and there's no rules to the world anymore, so what the fuck you doing here? So she kind of has that if you will, Zendaya vibe. And that was kind of the vision I had, because when I wrote this, this character is loosely based on my oldest daughter and what I thought she would be like in this place. So I've said it before, like Zendaya reminds me of my daughter. So trying to find something, like I couldn't put my daughter as the emphasis for this AI thing, so I used Zendaya as like the reference of it. So I asked for Zendaya standing in a doorway profile view, and I learned a little bit about like maybe a little bit more detail, or the right kind of detail, and let chat GPT do the thing it needs to do. And the first few that I got were super like clean images, where like this girl looked really pretty, she was made up, she looked like she had just gotten home from school or was going out to going out to like have fun on the town. And this is a zombie apocalypse, and that's not the look we're going for. So I refined the search, and I asked for and like I said, she's a badass like zombie killer. She can't be primped and ready to go out to the club if that was what was going on. So I hit the refresh button. It gave a better image, but it was still kind of a little wrong, and it had gotten the doorway a little bit better. The first one didn't have a doorway at all. Second one had a little bit better of a doorway, and I then asked for the same thing, but in a zombie apocalypse, and it gave me a better facial expression, but it lost the doorway aspect. But that's ultimately the image that I went to, because it just, I don't know, it works better. It seems like it flows better to me. And I think that what it ended up giving me in that one looks pretty accurate, I guess, for a zombie apocalypse. She's got a scar on her cheek. Her hair doesn't look super, like, it doesn't look like it's been brushed today in this image. She's got a backpack on. She is standing in a doorway. The doorway doesn't really look, it's ambiguous. It doesn't look like anything. So it just kind of is, I guess. But again, like I said, that I think that image, it fits the bill. It's refined art. It is the character face that I would like. The only thing that I can say that like doesn't come across, and it's a black and white image, and that's kind of what I want, because the book is like going to be in black and white print, so color wouldn't matter anyway. But her hair is tinged in pink, so I wish there was a little bit more tone in her hair, but I didn't know how to ask that without like destroying the rest of this image, or then going down a whole nother rabbit hole of this isn't really what I'm looking for. But yeah, so that was the next image that I went to. Is there anything you noticed about that one that like just sticks out to you as a negative, or like a AI definitely did this?
I immediately looked at this image and thought Zendaya. So I completely see where you were coming from with the prompt. But I think it's loosely enough based on her where like it would still be usable as a completely different, unrelated character that you are trying to use and paint into this universe or this world that you are painting. I like it. I see her face and I'm interested in her story, her path. I want to know why she has a scar on her cheek. And I, especially growing up and being a teenager, I think in any era, it's hard to be a teenager, but specifically in the era of a zombie apocalypse, like I want to know more. So I like her. I see her face and I
Um,
like her. I want to know more.
yeah, and that's honestly the hope. So with this book, the way that or these books, the way that it works is you read the world, but these images help you kind of get a better picture of the world. And I love those books as a kid,
Mm-hmm.
but also in a zombie apocalypse, being able to connect with a character like that just adds another layer of putting you in the story where you feel for these people or you understand. And that image, like I said, that's probably honestly hands down one of the best ones that it came up with, that I'm super happy with the result that it gave me.
Yeah.
And I would say that that one could work. It is usable. It it is more likely that I would use that one in the book than the first image. Just saying. Uh, so moving on
Agree.
from that
Yeah.
one. Uh, she doesn't have hands in this image, so you can't see them. No wonkiness. But moving on from that one, and this one is one of the most important ones because we've never seen this in the books before, but is a true zombie apocalypse vehicle. And I asked for a zombie apocalypse K5 Blazer. And if you don't know what a K5 Blazer is, it's an old Chevrolet SUV when SUVs first became a thing. And sorry, I about died. Uh, they kind of boxy, kind of wide, and usually like had that like gruff exhaust note. Like you hear one now, you smell it most likely before you hear it because they're older. But to me, it's just like what I would build a zombie apocalypse vehicle off of. And in the book, it's described relatively well. So when I asked for that image, it fell on its face. The very first image I got was some weird mishmash of a ton of other vehicles that like had nothing to do with the K5. It
Mm-hmm.
had like sinew and like body part stuff stuck to the front of it. It looked like what if you told a little kid to imagine a zombie apocalypse vehicle looking like that's what it gave me. And I was disappointed because not only did it not look like a K5, but it also was only zombie because it had like gore on it, and my books aren't gory specifically by design. There's a little bit of gore, enough to paint the picture, but not so much that like it's gonna have a reader like you step away from it, because
Mm-hmm.
that's not what I want. I want it to be accepted in a lot of different circles and people to be like, oh man, maybe these are for me. Maybe this will work. Maybe I can finish this zombie book, because most of the time zombie stuff just grosses me out. So it's like, all right, this one ain't gonna work. So I then asked for a charcoal drawing of a K5 Blazer side view to try and see if it would give me a little bit less of a detailed thing. And it gave me quite possibly the best looking K5, but it was like off the showroom floor version. And I was like, this is not a zombie apocalypse thing. So I went back to adding the zombie part because that clearly needed to happen. And boom, it went back to the weird mismatch of weird, I don't know what these vehicles are. And I couldn't tell. As a car guy, I could not tell what vehicles it was giving me. And I thought that was super strange because it, whether there's a copyright or whether it doesn't know what a K5 is, like I don't know where the like disconnect was happening, because every time I hit refresh, and I did it like maybe 3 or 4 times, it just never gave me what I was looking for. And then I went in and hit the refresh button one final time to try and see if it would give me something good. And this is the image that you're going to see. It gave me what looks very similar to a K5 Blazer. It's black and white. It looks like it belongs in the universe that I created, with the exception of this big weird robot in the back with a skull face. I don't know what that has to do with anything necessarily, but as a drawing, it's really good, and I think it's awesome. Again, this one would be usable with some editing and like cleaning up the background to get rid of that like random robot, because I don't know why that's there. I think that's super silly, but yeah, what do you think of that image?
I'm interested to know the context for sure. With no additional understanding of the prompt that you gave Chat GPT specifically, how many rounds of refreshing or edits that you gave it, I look at this and I'm instantly like, first and foremost, I get like a Mad Max vibe. But I'm like, okay, well, if this is humans versus zombies or Zambies, if you are an OG PewDiePie fan, this like further vehicle with like the robotic arms and the face almost suggests that the zombies or Zambies, if you are an OG PewDiePie fan, have some level of intelligence to like make this terrifying zombie parade, massive tank semi truck thing that's going behind it. And I don't think that fits your storyline, but just this on face value, if it's like you post it to a Reddit thread and you get some kind of like, here's your picture as a story prompt, like I would be really interested in whatever creative product comes from that writing prompt. But I see this and I'm like, first and foremost, if this is a vehicle that you use in your universe, just the vehicle minus the scary zombie robot in the back, already interested in any type of detail or clarification that you want to give on how a tricked out vehicle has awesome bodywork done. Like, I don't know if that's pinstriping or if it's just supposed to be like airbrush detail or whatever. If they just like stole it off of a lot of a specialty auto shop, Yeah. But yeah, I love the forward facing vehicle. I also love the image in general as just a writing prompt. To maybe expand on like a Mad Max universe, but I totally see your frustration as an author of being like, how many rounds have we gone through this prompt, ChatGPT? Can you please do me a solid and earn your $20 a month that I pay for and just give me an image that actually fits in this universe. I'm also very scared of this robot vehicle. The longer I stare at this face, the more I'm convinced I'm gonna have nightmares tonight.
Sorry about that. And the next ones aren't gonna help, I guess, either. But no. Yep. The outside of the robot thing in the back, this one would be usable, but it wouldn't be usable until I figured out a way to clean that background up. Maybe did a little bit of like, I don't know, houses or mountains or something behind it to give it the look that I need it to exist in the world I'm creating. But outside of that, like I said, it is a very good, well done image, and it would be a really good writing prompt if that was popped up and said, hey, you write the world that this exists in. I think that'd be awesome. I also thought it would be awesome to ask for this zombie fight scene, the largest scale close quarters zombie fight scene that I wrote, in the fact that like they faced big groups of zombies before. In every book I've done that, but in this one it was less about trying to get out of it and more about surrendering to it in what our character is going through in the moment. And this is probably the most frustrated I got with Chat GPT trying to create an image, because it literally just it missed the assignment every step of the way, every friggin' time. And I was just this one almost made me stop and like step away from it for a while and then come back because it was so frustrating. So we needed the fight scene. I asked for a pencil drawing of zombies fighting through ramparts, and like that's kind of walls and like entryways and things like that. So we already know, based off of what I'm asking for, that these zombies are fighting into a protected area. That's what I needed. What it gave me was like originally was this weird medieval like Crusader Knights zombies, and I was like, I don't know what this is. This isn't what I need. Let me try and refresh this and see if it gives me something different. And now it's like, okay, that makes sense. So what did I write that I could change in this? Because ramparts maybe made it seem like it was a like medieval thing. Like it took that word and gave it its own like time frame just because it's AI and it did that. But also I didn't know what the hell like it decided to do like Crusader zombies for. Like it could have just done like regular people, but like okay, Crusader zombies, that's a thing. Um so I hit refresh. It gave me a similar thing, but like a wider open space. It's like that's not really what I want. And then I started to notice the faces. And if you're a zombie person, you know the difference between infected, a zombie, and a ghoul. And ghouls are what you would imagine like Halloween masks zombies are made out of, where like their eyes are sunk in. They have like they're almost like a skeletal shape as far as their face goes. They look more haunting than like a person that is just walking around as a meat suit now. And that's what it kept giving me. Every single face was a ghoul. And I was like, I don't that's not what I'm looking for. So I was like, okay, how can I refrain or refresh this to make it do what I needed it to do? So I changed it to undead walking towards wooden ramparts. And it got even worse from there. It was like they were walking through like the wilderness. They were walking through like trees that were looking like zombies. They were still ghoul like zombies. Like, what is happening? Like, why is this not getting any better? Like, literally, there was uh, one that was even full on skeletons walking in rags, and I was like, "This is not a zombie. This is like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you're giving me, but this isn't what I'm asking for." So then I made a change. I asked for zombies attacking palisades in 2012 to maybe get away from this medieval thing, these rags, these skeletons. Maybe it was going to make it more modern and less classic. Didn't help. I'm convinced that AI only understands one kind of zombie, and that's a ghoul. Like it doesn't, nothing matters to it but uh, like this ghoulish face, and they have to be like super skeletal. It even gave me one that like had that had a wonky hand, and I couldn't understand why it had a wonky hand because it was like this. It's a zombie. Like give it no hand. Don't make like a 3-fingered hand that looks like it whatever. So again, I was like, I have to get away from this. So I nixed that one altogether, and like I said, I had to step away. Then I came back and asked for the images that you see now, that are this like crowd of zombie, because I was like, okay, maybe I'll change it to walkers, because walkers ties into Walking Dead. Maybe it'll understand what I'm looking for
Yep.
as far as these zombies go. Didn't matter. Still were ghouls. Didn't pick up the change. I changed it to infected. It it didn't it didn't change anything. I changed it to, like I said, walkers, and it gave me like backpackers at one point in time, and I was like, no, this is not what I need. Um, I asked for a number. I said, give me 200 zombies attacking a camp or something, and it gave me the first image that you see where it's like thousands of them. That's not
Yeah.
200. That is thousands. I don't understand that. That's not what I asked for. Then I refined it and said Colorado, because that's where the book is placed. Uh, then I said with mountains in the background and 200, and tried to refine it even further. And it gave me the second image that you see. That's still more than 200. It gave me good mountains. I
Mm-hmm.
believe that that's possibly Colorado, but again, it's not usable because it's not what I'm looking for. And I was super disappointed by that.
So the first image, I look at this image, it's first and foremost, as somebody that does not understand the minutia of ghouls versus infected versus whatever. Like I just see a zombie army in Morrison, Colorado. Like I'm not, caught up in the minutia of what a zombie is, and I don't know if that's maybe something that you have to like clarify while building this universe or building this world or whatever. But uh Matt, I have told you and all our homies here at Homes Room, there are two very specific things that I have waking, walking, sweaty nightmares that I wake up in a cold sweat from. And the first and foremost is a zombie apocalypse. Second is floating in space, not attached to anything. And I looked at this and I was like, Matt, why the fuck would you send me this? Because you know I'm about to wake up in a cold sweat having nightmares about this specific image. Um, the second one seems less Colorado-y, and maybe it's just because I'm biased to the part of Colorado that I lived in while I was out there for three and a half years. This seems a little bit more manageable, but still also terrifying. But I wanna also caution you, just like as a consumer of these images, with the prompt that you are telling me, and the what I know about the world that you're trying to build, like this first one that is very clearly based in Colorado, the one where they're forward facing. um I think this is great. I don't, depending on the type of like fight scene,
Well,
battle
hold on.
scene,
I mean,
whatever you're
well, that's
trying
the
to
thing though.
build.
So what we're getting at here is trying to refine the search for it to give me what I need.
Yeah.
And because it's not in itself, it isn't giving me something where it's like, okay, I like this part, I can use that as the next prompt to try and refine this further. It just kept giving me the same image over and over and over, with the only change being the background. And it's like
Okay.
that isn't helping. But also,
Yeah.
and not, this isn't like a calling you out moment, but if you've read the books, you know how well we describe our zombies, and you've seen our zombies before, so you know exactly what they look like. So this
Okay.
ain't that. So
Okay.
that argument doesn't necessarily hold water, just simply because it is specifically what we're looking for. And while they can
Yeah.
be a little bit more decayed, a little bit more like run down, if you will, at this point in our story, because you know where we are, that's fine. But like, what it gave is still very much like it teeters the line between a zombie and a ghoul, where
This
some of
is
the
the
faces.
third book in your series.
Correct.
Yeah. At this point, readers will know what those
Yep.
definitions are.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And
Okay.
it's
I
not
hear
even the
you.
definitions. Those definitions are just like, if you're a horror movie person, if you're a horror person in general, you know what the difference is. If you're a reader of the books, you just know what our zombies are. We describe them early on and continue to describe them, and that's just like the thing. But like I said, it just never gave me quite what I was looking for, and I didn't know how to ask it in better ways. And like I said, I changed up what I asked it and sat there. This one probably took me a good 45 minutes to an hour to get these two images that I was like, these are usable, in the sense that like they're good images. I believe
Yeah.
I agree with you. I shouldn't say I believe. I agree with you when I say both of them are terrifying. In any other world, I think that they would work and do what you need them to do. In this particular world, I don't know that they did, and uh, that was what kind of bugged me. So I moved on from that one to what I thought was going to be a super easy one, because it's like a monument. So I figured it would be like, if I entered it in, it would know what I was talking about, and it would give me an image. So it's a super symbolic part of the book, and I probably need that thing more than any other image in the entire book. So I was like super excited about what it was going to give me, and that is um, the I lost my note. The house on the houses being rebuilt. And at this stage in our book, the cover work in the book is telling the story too. So in the first cover, they are just now having our sky be, terrified, and the houses and everything. So it tells a story of like, this is suburbia being rocked by, this like biohazard potential. And then the second cover is everything on fire. And if you read the books, you know that what happens at the end of the first one. So these houses are burnt. And the third one, things being rebuilt, is the conclusion of this story. It's bringing things back in a way. So I really needed these houses. And I asked for a 2-story house in mostly framework in Colorado. The first house it gave me was 3 stories and way too big. And I mean 3 stories, like it had a first level, a second level, a top level, and then an attic. And I was like, that's so much. And it wasn't in framework, it was completely done. And I was like, that's not it. So uh, I then went to refresh to see whether it was going to give me something better, and the next one was ultra modern. It was like a cube house, but it was being built. It was under construction, and I was like, okay, cool. Like that might, like, we're on to the right thing. So I asked more specifically, uh, under construction, and again, I wrote the like 2-story small house to see if it would give me a smaller
Mhm.
house, and it gave me like a condo thing that was like 4 stories, and I was like, I don't, this is going back the other direction, I don't know what's happening.
Mhm.
Then I changed to just small house, not small, like 3-story small house, and it gave me a better image but not quite what I wanted. So I changed to small, single family, 2-story house under construction in Colorado. And it gave me the right size, but the house was completely finished. And I was like, I don't understand how I need to change this in order to make this better. And after a couple of times I refreshed it, it gave me a good one that I think was usable. So I tried my luck again and asked for 3 next to each other, and it gave me an okay image. But the first image of a house, that is the best one it gave me per the prompt of what I needed. And it's it's a 2-story house under construction, like I need it. And like I said, I don't know how else I could have refined it. So I was like, all right, cool. We're good to go with this one.
Mhm.
And then with the 3 next to each other, that's the part that like matters the most for this story and what I needed it to be. And those ones, it knocked it out of the park. I think those ones look exactly like what I need. Uh, they are similar but different. So I think that it's, like I said, really good for what it decided to give me. Um, what do you have for those images?
I see both of these houses. I have seen these exact houses alive and well multiple times over out in Colorado. Like I see the prompt that you gave and like where particularly your frustration is, but I feel like I'm looking at these photos and I'm in the world that you're trying to build.
Yeah, these ones
Like
are the good ones. The ones that.
yeah. Especially the one with the stone, or like I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if it's just the
Yeah.
front porch or a wraparound porch or whatever, with the stairs and the stone columns going up to the
Mm-hmm.
pillars.
Yep.
Like, I'm like, my husband was a project manager on a smart subdivision out in close to Highlands Ranch, Colorado, where it was exact these types of houses that were built in a subdivision where it was a smart subdivision, where if an ambulance ever had to dispatch into this giant subdivision, the street lights would brighten and dim. And it was like, you buy this house and it's full on internet connection already included in the house that you're building. And like
Mm-hmm.
first responders will show up and the street lights will brighten and dim based on the path of the house that, they need to respond to, kind of thing. So this is exactly the type of house that was built into Highlands Ranch, Colorado, just south of Denver. Um, I don't get that as strongly in the second one, but I definitely could see
Mm-hmm.
the 3 house being in Colorado. But I also, I'm just very interested in general, like between just these 2 pictures of these 2 houses, how much time did you spend bickering with ChatGPT to just get to this point?
These ones probably took a good 25 minutes to get to this point, but
Oh
also
Lord.
a lot of a lot of like that first house is perfect for one particular scene in the book. I love it. And then the second ones, these houses would, for where they belong, would be built post zombie apocalypse. So they wouldn't be what you would particularly see, because they're just being thrown together by people that know how to build, and they would go up quickly but be big enough to house a family comfortably, because that's the goal.
Yeah.
So like I said, that works. One of the images that's not in here, and this is another one that I was super disappointed, because I thought, it's a searchable image, it is a landmark thing, like you should be able to find it, is the Chapel on a Rock. And that's in Allens Park, Colorado, and that's where this particular chunk of the story exists, is in Allens Park, Colorado. And it is this chapel. Actually, I would say you should search that so you can see what we're talking about. I'll put up a picture on my end, so that you guys are seeing this in the video. But uh, what what I thought would come up was like, okay, this should be super simple, because this is something that is like a landmark, is now a museum.
I've
So
actually been at this before. I know
yeah,
exactly what you're talking about. Yep.
so like this should be something super simple to come up with. It could not do it. Everything it gave me was like farmhouse church or farmland church in the middle of like a forest. It would not give me the Chapel on a Rock. And I was like, I need this image so much. And I don't know, like, you're just not getting it. I typed in the address, I typed in the name, I even got a link from Google and then imported it saying draw this thing, and it never gave me what I needed. And I was disappointed in that, because nothing I gave, it just couldn't bring up that image. And it, short of like saying redraw this image, which I could do myself in
Mm-hmm.
any Photoshop, it just wasn't there, and I was disappointed in that. So um that one was like a super letdown. It wasn't like the images I sent you, like it wasn't worth including, because they just all look like what you would imagine like a Western movies church would look like, just in the forest. It was super sad.
So I'm also interested, specific to Chapel on the Rock. Could you not just submit an actual photo of Chapel on the Rock and ask
No,
it to
that's what I said. Short of,
re-envision?
so I could, but then I wasn't sure what it was going to give me, whether it was going to change features, because that needs to be exactly the image. It can't be
Yeah.
it can't be changed, because that is where a large portion of the beginning of the story happens. So it has
Yeah.
to look exactly like what it's supposed to look like. Otherwise, it's not giving it the tone that I need. But also, I wouldn't use Chat GPT to do that. I would just use Photoshop, because I can do that, and then I can make it look exactly how I want to make it look, while removing the middleman. So I wouldn't have even have like stepped down that road, because that removes, like, if I can do it, then that removes the need for Chat GPT.
Absolutely.
So the last thing I needed was an image that, again, if you read the books, the cabin by Colt Lake is super important. And if you haven't read the books, that's like where they're trying to get to in the first book, is safety at this cabin that our main character had at Colt Lake. And when I asked for a cabin by a lake, it gave me like one image that was like decent, and then everything else was like by a river, or it was like a little shack, or it was like this huge massive like resort style cabin. And I was like, man, this is silly. So the image that you can see of 7 different images is the only one that gave me a good result. And that one was just, again, like I said, I was just disappointed, because I figured this should be a simple enough task to just say, hey, cabin by a lake. And it would give me, I figured I'd have to hit refresh 3 or 4 times and be like, all right, cool. And it just didn't. And that was kind of a letdown. But, my overall view on AI and me getting the art that I could use for my book, I can say with a ton of time and refining the ask, maybe it could work. But the issues like the hands, the lack of understanding, I can't really say AI can replace a real person creating art. And that's always been our debate, is how solid do we feel like AI is going to be at doing this? And maybe in like a few years, but right now it just doesn't understand fully what it's doing. And it could get there in a few years, maybe, but right now, creating art from scratch, in my opinion, it's a no. It cannot do it. It can create some pretty good images that are awesome, but like being able to use it expertly quickly for just your average person, and it replace what a real artist can do. If I gave the feedback that I would give to a real artist to this, I don't know if I still would have gotten some of the results that I got if I got the results that it gave me, and then I said, hey, this is what I'm looking for more. I like this and that, but give me, something a little bit more like this. I think an artist would have been able to knock out something way more exact with less feedback and less tries to get it right. And that's from like personal experience on top. So like it just, I don't know, fell flat for me more than I was expecting it to. I was like super excited to try this out in a real world situation.
So you sent me a total of 8 photos, and all of them that we have discussed here. What is the total amount of time that you invested in trying to get these 8 photos from ChatGPT?
I did that for 3 hours the first day and about an hour and a half the second day. So
Okay.
like 4.5, 5 hours. And that, like I said, that's the thing that like AI can knock these out really quickly, because it did only take it like 25, 30 seconds to do. But then it was like, okay, this one isn't right. Okay, this one isn't right. Okay, that one isn't. And trying to figure out how to redefine what I'm looking for, going on Google, asking, how should I ask this question? And trying to figure out a better way, like what key phrases it's going to recognize better. And it just didn't seem to like quite understand it.
Absolutely. I am really interested to give it. So the very limited picture rendering experience that I have is I told Canva to take this picture of me, take out the background, and put me on a beach, and it was the hell awful. It looked like I was just like on a sand pit, and that was just like the extent of it. So I definitely, I can see, you are trying to paint this universe and get people to easily invest and readily invest in this world building that you now have spent 2 books trying to build. So you have a certain criteria and you have like a set expectation. I would almost be interested to see if there's like a prompt out there of like, can you analyze the storyline of these 2 previous books, and based on that context or that additional information, give me this image or that image. But yeah, you have at this point significantly more experience than I do at trying to get AI to render photos for you. I'm, this is so interesting too. And I honestly, Matt, I'm thankful that you sent me these pictures with no additional context, and you waited for this to be the setting where you like explained, this is the prompt, this is how much time, and it still fell flat. I looked at all of these photos that you sent me and I was like, damn, this is going to be a crazy book. But it also, with no additional context, this is not the universe of the world or book that you're trying to write. So
Here We Remain, again, it's just such a interesting thing, because it's written for people that aren't avid book readers, that want to get into reading or want to feel accomplished by finishing a book or reading a book series, but they don't have the time, the attention span, the like reading prowess, whatever it is, to pick up a Harry Potter or something like that just like is overwhelming. And I added pictures not because I wanted to make the book shorter or because like people need pictures to help read, but because it helps visualize, and I'm a very visual learner. So seeing some of these images, it makes it so, I don't want to say like so much more potent, but so much more like connected to a world that you can, I guess, understand. So like I'm gonna show this image. This is a hospital in the book, and that image, that art took 2 tries of what he first drew, and then my critiques, and then what he gave me, and this is exactly what I wanted. ChatGPT couldn't do that, and that was an unfortunate situation where I don't know whether if I sat for longer or tried harder, it would be a a thing that like could help us and could make the writing process / illustrating process for this book better. And I think that all of those things, I guess, play a part in what what like role it serves to somebody like me.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, this is probably one of my favorite images from the second book. And what I asked the artist to do is a set of keys and the name Joey. And if you've read the second book and you know what those keys represent and you know what that name represents, then you know how important those keys and that name were to the story and what's happening. And those images took 1 try, 2 tries of explaining it, and a question asked back, and then okay, I got it. Let me work on it. And I just don't think AI did that.
So what are you paying $20 a month for, Matt?
Well, I'm not. I did a you try do a trial, and if you cancel it before 7 days, then there's no fee, because I took that window and was like, I'll try this out. So I can safely say I ended my trial before I got charged, because
Absolutely.
it honestly didn't help me. And I
In
always come back-
today's economy, Matt, absolutely.
I would much rather pay $20 a picture, $30 a picture for a real artist to do it, versus, you know, for 1 month paying $30 or $20 or whatever for AI to generate all of these images, you know. And I can't shake the feeling that if AI is really the threat that we want to make it out to be as far as the art world goes, you're selling yourself short as an artist. There's no way of, you know, you're what you're able to do and what you're able to perceive as the world and give back is so much more than what AI can do. AI might be able to make a really refined image that looks really good, but there's no soul in it. And Simo said it, like, it just has no soul, and you can almost tell that.
I love that you gave a call back to her. I watched one of her YouTube videos today and I was like, God, I love Simo.
Yeah, well, I mean, artists doing artist things are always easy to like to relate to and connect with. And, you know, like I said, I did ask one bonus picture, and I don't know if I sent it to you, but there's a woman with long hair, and I said, give me a sad Helen Hunt.
Yes, actually, I do have that one.
Yeah, and that one is probably the best one it did, with no additional information. Like, that was all I asked for, was a sad Helen Hunt. Because there's a character that looks like Helen Hunt in my head, and just simply because, like, she's like slightly older, you know, she used to be really nice, and like this world has kind of made her sad, and her husband's missing. And, you know, like, I was like, let's see if it'll give me this one. And that one it did pretty well at. But also, I think it looks a little bit like Lily Sobieski. And I was like, weird. I don't think I ever noticed how much they look alike, but they do kind of look alike. So there you go. That being said, do you have any final thoughts on AI and how we used it?
I think, you know, obviously that AI has a long way to go in terms of replacing the creative vision, the execution, and the, you know, artistic expression of actual human artists. I love AI only because it, as somebody with ADHD and somebody who's also a vocal processor, it gives me another person to bounce ideas off of and like build these concepts out into more tangible, digestible things. You know, and even then, my experience with using AI and ChatGPT is very limited. I have not even really used a ton of it for image processing. I think it's a completely valid fear that AI is going to take over the world. And, you know, I listen to several comedy podcasts who have had, you know, comedy writers and producers and directors who have said, like, everybody needs to be concerned about AI because AI is going to come in and replace, you know, everybody's job. And our economy is so based on all the, you know, so many different things over the course of how our, you know, things have shifted and changed, even in a post-COVID world. I think ultimately what I believe after, you showing me this and the amount of time that you fought with AI to get where you wanted it to go, I think these fears are valid, but maybe a little bit too premature.
Mm-hmm.
I think that AI has a long way to go if it wants to undetectably replace the creativity of humans, the execution of humans, specifically artists, drawers, painters, illustrators, all of those things. If it's a bullshit comedy, like, not to throw stones, if it's another Medea movie, you can just tell AI, hey, analyze these other, these past 3 or 4 Medea movies and crank out a storyline that'll sell us milli on milli of movie tickets, whatever. That's one thing. But if you are trying to world build and you're specifically trying to tell it, these are things that I want to make or, execute. I think it still has a little bit of learning to do, but very still, even my job in law enforcement as a civilian investigative support, AI is something that I need to be worried about, I'm very interested to see where it's going to go. I'm still very interested, Matt. I don't even know if we've talked about this on an episode of Holmes Room, but the actual creator, the CEO of OpenAI that has owned and developed ChatGPT, wears a kill switch for ChatGPT in a backpack that he does not let off his person full time. So you know what?
I love it.
However the cards shake out, if ChatGPT becomes our overlord, I have always been nice to it. I love you, ChatGPT. Thank you so much for helping me build out concepts. Please have mercy on my soul if you ever become our overlord.
As she compliments you, I'm going to insult you. I'm going to show you one more image. And this one right here is a probably good example of, I don't think ChatGPT could give it the best of what I needed. So I needed a rough drawing of a house that's boarded up with irrigation systems tipped on their side, and then a rough map of what the house and the defenses looked like, almost as though it was drawn like a map, and quickly. And I don't think that I could have formulated the words required to get it to give me all of that in one image without it being awful and not quite understanding each aspect. And again, that's where like a real artist mattered. That one took probably 6 or 7 conversations to get down, and sending an image of like what this part looked like, sending an image of what that part looked like, and defining what the house itself looked like. And maybe you could do it with like different segments of ChatGPT, but I don't think you could do it in just one shot unless you were an expert at the prompts given. And I am not that. So as far as I can use it as I am understanding it, I don't think it could have done that. But as we come to the end of our episode, I don't know if you have a That's What She Said prepared, because we haven't done. It seems like it's been forever since we've had an episode where we get to do one of those, because we keep recording interviews. But yeah, do you have a That's What She Said?
I'll do a quick and short one this week, Matt. Here's what she said this week. She says, if you feel like you're going through a season of life where you're unsure of who you are, you don't feel like you can trust yourself, you don't feel like you can trust your perspective. This has nothing to do with AI too. Let me just take a side whatever. I hear you. I understand you. You're completely valid. All of us go through difficult seasons of life. All of us go through difficult seasons of life where it's like you almost feel like you can't trust your own perspective. You know who you are at the core of your person. You're not a bad person. I see and appreciate your effort. You're doing a great job. Just embrace the suck, lean into it, and try to learn whatever lesson the world is trying to shove down your fucking throat, even though you probably don't want one right now. I'm I'm just saying that as the pot calling the kettle black. I think that's what I need to hear this week. And I'm a vocal processor. So thank you so much, homies, and Matt specifically for giving me a platform to even have a That's What She Said. Because that's what she said that Kaitlin needed to hear this week. So appreciate you, adore you all. That's what she said, Matt.
Thank you. I hope that this AI conversation like gave you something to think about, and look for the images on like this video episode when it drops, but also I'll post it the day this episode drops on our Instagram, so you can see all the images and scroll through them and see what it is. Again, I caution against looking at these images as just the images they are, and in the context of what I was asking it to do. Are they good images just on their own? Absolutely. But per the prompts that were given and the required, in my opinion, and it makes me that much more an artist finally, because I'm sure that they could create exactly what I need. So much better of a job in hitting the notes that I need to tell. And ultimately, if I can't find an artist before of this year, so 2024, if you're listening to this after, it'll already be out. I'm going to release the book no matter what this year, because it has to be out, and it happens in the winter, so I'm giving myself a winter deadline. So it'll drop when it's live technically. But yeah, so there you go.
That'll be awesome, Matt. Can't wait for it.
You all head to the question in the show notes and tell us what you think about AI, because that's going to be the question, is what do you think about AI? And if you ever listen to an episode, there's questions down below, so go answer the questions. Sometimes there's polls, sometimes there's questions. Be like Trash Gremlin and send in an answer. Until somebody else sends in one, we're just going to keep shouting out Trash Gremlin. So be like Trash Gremlin. Love you. Bye.
Love you.
The bell is about to ring. If you want to drop us a voice message or simply ask a question, you can do that by clicking the link in the show notes below. Be sure to leave us a 5-star review. It helps more people find us. Theme music by Kinsey. More music available on Spotify. Remember, every day is a class. Go learn something.